What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Happy portable Stardew Valley Day today. That's right, finally we can play Stardew Valley on the Nintendo Switch portably after all the teasing and finally the release date. Hopefully it's out by the time you're seeing this. If it's not, I would expect it. I don't know. We see eShop release times are all over the place sometimes, right? Sometimes it's like 6 o'clock at night my time that comes out, and other times it's like 9 a.m. my time. It's all over the place. But either way, by tonight you should have Stardew Valley downloaded and on your Switch if you want it. I recommend picking it up. Also, do not sleep on Axiom Verge. That's also out today, and it's a really, really good Metroidvania style game. It's been out for a while on Steam. I've played it, but I can assure you it is an awesome game, completely worth the buy. Two really good games that came out today. It's a good time to be a portable gamer with the Switch, or I guess if you're playing on your TV, a home console. But either way, we have some other stuff to talk about, including Media Create numbers, so let's get started. Now, we're going to start with Media Create and the sales numbers that showed up in Japan yesterday. We get to see all the weekly stats from the week prior, and we got to look at the hardware numbers. And honestly, the Switch took off big time in Japan. I guess they were just getting stock ready. Also, Fire Emblem Warriors came out, which I'm sure helped drive sales, but it looks like Nintendo just stocked more, probably in anticipation for this game. Let's take a look at the game charts here. You'll see The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 came in at the top, 87,000. JRPG makes a lot of sense here. FIFA 18 on the PS4 right below that, 55,919. Fire Emblem Warriors below that at 41,491. Splatoon 2, then Pokken Tournament DX, which didn't fall too much from last week at 23,543. That's great. And then right below that, Fire Emblem Warriors on the 3DS. Looks like a lot of people opted for it on the Switch instead of the 3DS here, 18,357. FIFA 18 for the Nintendo Switch at the bottom, and that's at 12,616, which again is about right for the Switch. I guess it could have been worse. 12,000 isn't, I guess, the worst thing in the world, but it definitely could have been better. Now, a lot of comparisons are going to be drawn here with the prior Warriors game, which of course was Hyrule Warriors, which sold more at 69,000 units. And yeah, I do think Fire Emblem Warriors could have done better. I think it could have topped 50,000. And you know what? It'll probably continue to sell going forward here. I don't think it's going to drop completely off the charts or anything in the next couple weeks. I think it'll stick around. But of course, Hyrule Warriors was 69,000 units sold. That was really at the peak of the Wii U's existence in Japan, though. More units obviously were available at the time in Japan, more owners, I should say, who were looking to buy a game because, of course, the Wii U didn't have a ton of game releases all the time, and Hyrule Warriors really filled in a spot, and people bought it. And that makes sense. I do think Fire Emblem Warriors also doesn't have the notoriety as putting Link front and center of your game like with Hyrule Warriors. So really, the more I look at this, the more I think about it, the more I'm okay with the sales figure. And the 3DS version obviously was kind of played second fiddle to the Switch version. A lot of people just wanted a new game for their Switch, and this was it. We'll see going forward if it continues to sell, because a lot of times we see games like Nier, for example, that stay in the charts, that we see them at the top. Not necessarily all the way at the top, but we'll see them at like the number 15, you know, 14, 16. And then as we go along, they slowly build up units without people realizing it. And all of a sudden, you have a game that's sold over 1 million, over 2 million units just because it's been in the charts for so long. Because there is one game missing from the top 20 charts. And I think you guys can already guess which one I'm talking about. This is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. After 1 week, it has now fallen off the charts completely. And this, again, is really throwing people through a loop right now as to why this game is just struggling. I saw some people last week who were talking about really the sales figures, and they were like, oh, maybe it'll just stick around in the charts. It'll slowly build up momentum. It's not in the charts at all, and this could be a problem. But I saw an interesting video, and I just want to turn you guys on to this. This is by Liam Robertson, where he talked to some insiders, talked to some people who worked at Capcom, because everyone is trying to figure out what happened with this game. It looks like they may have cut some corners. According to Liam, the budget is half of what Street Fighter V's DLC, not Street Fighter V, the Street Fighter V DLC. Yes, the budget for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is that low. He also goes in and talking about how characters were legitimately cut from the game to then sell as DLC, possibly to make up money. But if the budget was that low in the first place, I'm not really sure why you would kind of stoop to that level. If the budget's that low, make a really, really good game packed with characters, because if you're not putting a lot of money into it, you can get a ton of money out of it if you just make a great game, and word of mouth can travel for something like that. I do encourage you to check out his video because there's a lot of cool information there, and he really does get in depth with some of it, including really doing comparison shots to show how really the production value has gone down. I'll leave a link to Liam's video down in the description for you guys. Now onto the system. We have the Switch at the top at $73,231. The PS4 right below that, $29,369. And then we have the 3DS, the Vita right below that, the 3DS at $20,321. The Vita still sticking around. I like the Vita sticking in there. It's good. $3,732. And the Xbox One right below that at 71 units sold. The Wii U and the PS3 are at the bottom of the charts there, as you'd expect, with the PS3 actually falling from 87. I'm actually surprised it even sold 87 last week. So the question is, what happened here? How did the Switch all of a sudden jump from 43,000 units up to over 70,000 units? To me, it's pretty obvious. I think Nintendo anticipated Fire Emblem Warriors pushing systems along, which it looks like it did. Also, people just keep buying the Switch out completely, so there's no stock left. So really, at this point, if Nintendo just put systems in stores, it'll sell out. Of course, though, they want to front load these systems in front of Mario Odyssey because they need to have a large install base in Japan where it will sell well. It'll sell well pretty much everywhere, like I've said, but Japan, we're going to get public numbers right away, so I'm sure there is a little bit of interest interior to the company looking to push these systems out for people to buy Mario Odyssey, because that game is going to be extremely popular, super hot on the charts especially. It'll top it, no sweat. It's also interesting to note that the Switch is rolling up to that 2 million mark, and at this rate, we'll get there faster than a lot of us figured. It's certainly, at this point, I think it's pretty obvious that most of us seeing it's going to crash into that 2 million mark. Probably in November at this point, especially with Mario Odyssey's week. I'm sure that'll be a ton of Switches to move through easily. I would say personally 100,000. If 100,000 Switches aren't there available to sell and sell through in Mario Odyssey's week, that might be kind of disappointing for Nintendo. But if that's the case, 2 million, no problem, gets cleared in November. And then you got December. Who knows where the Switch ends in Japan? It's going to be interesting. They are definitely going to cross their 10 million mark, no problem, by the end of December, I'd say. It's going to be like that. And then we see next fiscal year where they push things, because the second year is always big for systems, and I think the Switch is going to surprise some people even in its second year. Let's stick with sales for a minute and move over to really the indie game that has taken the internet by storm, and that's Cuphead. We do have stats on Steam by using Steam Spy, and we can see at this time of recording, Cuphead, since it came out on the 29th, has sold 288,000 copies on Steam alone. That's not counting the Xbox One. And this is very big for an indie developer to see, obviously. It's a smaller studio. They spent a tremendous amount of time, because they were given a pretty good amount of time, obviously, in working with Microsoft, but it paid off. It's doing well. It's selling through plenty of copies, and it has a very, as you can see, upward trend going on here. So it's going to continue selling, and I'm very happy because I like these smaller indie developers that bring games out that really is so unique, something we've never seen before. If you don't have Cuphead, I seriously, you might as well buy it. It's 20 bucks. It's a great time, fun platformer with shooting mechanics and everything, good time. So glad to see that they're doing well. And yesterday, Phil Spencer was on the move. That's right. He decided to visit Japan, specifically their Xbox of Japan branch, which is, it's kind of odd at this point that they have a branch that's probably really decked out and everything looks really nice, because, well, only 80-some thousand Xbox Ones exist over there, but they really want that Japanese market because it's a market that they are sorely missing, that the two competitors they're up against have completely. The Nintendo and PlayStation exist really well over in Japan. It's obvious. We see the charts every week, as we just saw. So now Phil Spencer is over there, and keep in mind, this is the first trip back to Japan since he was promoted. And of course, now that Phil Spencer is part of like the executive leadership, that group that we saw where there's a chart and there were so many people up there that make the big decisions, it's very interesting to see him go back to Japan, maybe talking with some developers. Maybe he has a little more power, a little more control over funding. Maybe he's looking around to court maybe a big Japanese developer, somebody that can bring something new to the table with Xbox and Windows at this point, because they need it. They need something in Japan. Look, listen, Japanese gamers aren't just going to show up and say, oh, I want this Xbox, and then I'll get the games. No, they buy an Xbox because a game exists. I know there's a lot of people who are like, well, they cancel Scalebound because, well, they're never going to get the Japanese audience. And that's something I thought too. Like, they were looking at it, they're like, we're never going to get it. Why would we put this game out? But they do have to push forward. I know they're seen as an American company moving into Japan, so they're foreigners, but it's something they need to try. At least need to try. Get a game together that's a big Japanese game that's only on your system, and just take a shot. Microsoft has the money that they can fail if it doesn't work. I understand Scalebound had other issues behind the scenes that we'll never know about. Maybe we'll know about someday, but we'll probably never know the full extent of what happened. But in this case, take a shot. Go get Square, right? Go get somebody who can develop a game specifically for your system and the computer even, and try to move more than 80 Xboxes a week. Just try. Get in the triple digits. I would love to see the Xbox One just in triple digits. I want to read off a number to you guys one time, you know, with the Xbox One and Media Crates, where it's like, they did 120 systems. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but that would seriously blow my mind in Japan. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Sony real quick, because they did announce an event later on this month, that's October 30th for Paris Week, where they are going to announce apparently some big game announcements, which I assume probably are release dates or maybe more information about certain games, but keep in mind they still have to keep some for the PlayStation Expo in December. Anyway, a big event is coming up, Paris Games Week, and they're going to have a stream, which is going to be awesome. I'm going to try to stream it, 11 a.m. Eastern, October 30th. So this is probably going to be, you know, like an actual big event for them. They didn't care too much about Gamescom. They didn't even present there. Tokyo Game Show was a smaller thing for them. So this, and then their PlayStation Expo are going to be two game shows that are a little closer to, say, E3. So we might see something about Final Fantasy VII Remake. Great. That's something I really want to see. And then, of course, we need God of War. We need Spider-Man release dates. There's release dates for a few things we need. And then, of course, we might see Detroit. There's a few things we need to see here. And that's one of them. So it's going to be interesting going forward what they are going to announce. I don't think there's anything like crazy or out there. If they do any crazy announcement, it would be a PlayStation Expo. Not that I think there's going to be one at this point, but if there is, that's where it would be. I think this would be really game focused. That's all. Release dates, more information. Final Fantasy VII Remake desperately needs more information. That's the big thing I want to see. But let me know what you guys want to see at this Sony event. And definitely come by that day. I'll be streaming in the morning and we'll have some fun and hopefully see some new games. That's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me think about any of the stuff we talked about today. Whether it is the sales numbers in Japan, were you surprised to see so many Switch units just out of nowhere sell? Like these stock numbers just keep showing up. I have started seeing more people post over here, even in the US, with Best Buys, Targets, Walmarts, everywhere, kind of getting more in as we go along. So there might have just been a big restocking, really ahead of Mario Odyssey. I think that's the case. They want more systems in houses, so we go, wow, I have the Switch. Let's go get Mario Odyssey since it just came out. That's my assumption there. And then are you just disappointed in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite? Go watch Liam's video and then let me know definitely if you think, wow, Capcom, well, who knows what they were thinking with this game. It's very interesting. And then also, let me know what you think about Xbox in Japan. Is Phil Spencer over there? Phil Spencer's a very smart man when it comes to some of this stuff, and he's definitely a gamer. I think he wants the Japanese audience, and he just desperately wants to figure out how. He needs help, though. He needs help from a Japanese developer in the worst possible way. But let me know what you guys think about that. Do you think he's over there courting a developer, or do you think he's just checking in to see how things are doing over at this Xbox branch that they have for some reason in Japan? That's it for now, guys. I'll see you next time.